There's one thing in our program that makes children so successful, and quite frankly, it's the reason why it works so well. So as I said, there's a lot of things that we do here that kind of help children and help them succeed. As a matter of fact, I have seen so many children improve their situations, their lives in school, at home, that I started looking for common denominators. Now, I've been teaching martial arts for close to 40 years now, I guess, or 35, 40 years. And I've been doing martial arts for more than 40, like 42, 43, a long time. So I've seen a lot of kids, and I've seen a lot of the kids grow up, and then some of those kids have kids, and so on and so forth through the years. But I did notice that there were some common denominators in children who grew up and did well and children who grew up and didn't do as well. And so through the years, I've kind of taken that as a part of our program. And the more I applied these principles, the more success children found in everything that they do. So to get down to it, there's one kind of very important part of our program that helps kids. And if you can implement it into the things that your children do, they're going to be very, very successful in everything they do. And that one most overarching thing is challenge. One of the things that we promise to do is every time a kid comes to class is to present them with a challenge, and that challenge is based on their abilities right now. And once a child faces that challenge, there's a few things that has to happen after that. So I'm sure you guys know, if you've been in the class for any period of time, you know that I'm constantly challenging the children. I challenge the adults. I even challenge myself when I'm practicing. I'm always trying to give my best. So one of the things that we do is we challenge the children. But after that happens, something very important has to happen from there. There has to be I think, oh, hey, somebody just walked in. So after the challenge, you have two things that can happen. Actually, you have more than two things, but two things tend to happen. Children need praise for what just happened, but how you praise them will determine what type of effort they put forth next. So there's been a lot of studies on, obviously, human motivation and what motivates children. But one of the studies asked what would happen if you gave these two types of praise to children. One, if you praise their talent, talent being like intelligence, natural ability, those type of things. Or if you praise their effort, maybe they didn't do as well on the challenge, but you praise the effort that they put into it. And they took those two things. Do you praise talent, or do you praise effort? Do you praise intelligence, or do you praise effort? And they looked at those things. And what they found was that the children who praised that were given praise for their efforts tended to seek out challenges that they may or may not be as successful at, but they knew they would have to work hard for. And the children who were praised on their talent and their abilities and things like that tended to look for challenges that they knew that they could do well in. So what that means is, when kind of shorthand for that, is that oftentimes when you praise children on their natural abilities, their talents and things like that, if that's the only thing that you praise them on, they tend to not grow, but they actually tend to go down because they're never pushing themselves. They're never looking for that next level. But if you take children and you praise their efforts, what tends to happen is they end up looking for challenges that are going to push themselves. And oftentimes, well, a lot of times they'll fail, but they get the reward not from winning or losing, but they get the reward from the growth and getting better and better and better. And as a result of that, winning in life and school, those things are just a natural byproduct of their efforts, because they learn to enjoy the efforts or the journey or the experience more than they enjoy the trophies and the other parts of it. Not to say that those things aren't important. They obviously are. All of us work for those things. But if you can enjoy the process, if you can enjoy the path, then everything is going to become a lot easier for you. Excuse me. And it all starts with children facing challenges. Obviously, there's been a lot of studies on this. And actually, we actually made a video on it. I'll put the link in the description here. Of our YouTube description. But there's been a lot of studies on it. One of the famous ones in the 60s, late 60s and early 70s was the marshmallow experiment. I'm sure everyone's familiar with that, right? The marshmallow experiment was where they took children and they set them in a room and they put a marshmallow right there in front of them. And they told them that to don't touch that marshmallow, just hang on to it. And if you don't eat it, later you'll get 2 marshmallows, right? So, and then they just left the room and they left the kids in there with it and they videotaped it. And they saw that some kids they would eat it right away. Some kids would hold out for a little bit, then they'd eat it. And then some kids didn't. They just sat and waited. And when they came back, they had 2. But the kids who ate it right away, they got nothing. So this study was on the effects of delayed gratification. And one of the interesting aspects of these different studies is they kind of follow these kids for a little while. And what they found was that kids who had delayed gratification tended to do better in school, and they tended to do better with challenges, and they tend to do better in everything. But the problem with the study was that some kids just naturally have it, some kids don't. There is a process by which you can build that within children, learning patience and learning persistence and facing challenges, those type of things, which is what we do in the program. So if children can learn those things, they tend to do well in everything. One more study that they did, it's the third one we're talking about here, was a study they did with children, also going back to praise. And I think these were second grade children, I believe, that they gave children 3 tests. I think it was 3 tests. It may have been 2, but it was definitely 2, but it may have been 3. And they gave children 3 tests. And after the first test and after the second test, they gave children 2 different types of praise. One, that they were very intelligent, or one, that they really were working hard on that test, right? So they gave them different children, different praises. And what they found is by the 3rd test, the children who were praised on their talents and their intelligence did about 30% worse on the 3rd test than they did on the previous test. But the children who were praised on their efforts and persistence and not giving up did about 30% better on their test, that 3rd test, than they did on the previous test. So one of the things for children, like I said, is one of the most important parts is facing challenge. But after that challenge comes, just remember, you have 2 options with children. You have the option of praising their natural talents and abilities, or you have the option of praising their efforts and how well they do. Listen, there's nothing wrong with telling a child that they're smart and they're intelligent and man, they're really good at that. There's nothing wrong with that. But you want to make sure that they understand that why they have that. They have that because they never give up. They're persistent. Hard work pays off. All of those things. Once they learn that, everything will be simple for them. Anyway, guys, think about it. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment, and I will see you in class.